Welcome to the Firehouse. I'm your host, Captain Kyle Smith. You're responding down the road less traveled en route to financial freedom. If you're a first responder, then planning your future through financial literacy is a minimum requirement. This isn't financial advice, just a conversation to get your wheels turning. Ready? Good, because you're at sea. What's up, everyone? It's Captain Kyle Smith. And this week I sat down for a morning meeting with financial coach and Firewife, Kacy Smith. Kacy and her husband paid off $70,000 in debt in 18 months, and she wants you to steal the techniques she used so you can do it too. Hope you guys enjoy it. Well, hey, Kacy, welcome to the bullpen. Thanks for meeting me.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited to get you on here and hear about your story. It's an interesting one, and it's one that might be a little bit different for some of our folks that are used to hearing from firefighters themselves. But before we dig into your first alarm, Kacy, how has the pandemic sort of affected things in your guys' life?
I think for us personally, or for just in general, people in general.
For you guys personally.
For us personally, I don't think that we really had any notion of how that emergency fund would come into place to help us. A lot of Americans don't have an emergency fund. So for us, it was being able to not skip a beat with what we were doing and being able to continue to pay our bills and continue to do all that we needed to do. Even if there was no overtime coming in or anything of that sort. So it really was just us planning ahead prior to this, knowing that if something did happen, we were taken care of.
Oh, what a perfect answer. And that's a new one for us, that emergency fund. I'm sure we'll hear more about that, what an emergency fund actually is when we get into your first alarm. But guys, that is really, really important. I just love that answer. Well, cool. You ready to get into your first alarm here, Kacy?
Oh, yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, first alarm assignment on the San Diego Fire Department consists of 4 engines and a truck. But here at the Firehouse, I'll ask you 4 questions and you'll give us one piece of advice. That sound good?
Sound good.
All right, cool. So you're going to be first in on your first alarm. And when you're first in, you have to give a size up. And a size up is who you are, where you work, and how long you've been doing it.
Okay. So here's how I got started. About 4 years ago, I was doing my annual spring cleaning like we normally do. And I was decluttering, getting rid of some stuff that wasn't serving us anymore or we didn't use. And I had this large pile of things in the middle of this room. And I was looking at them, and all of a sudden I thought, we had to work really hard to buy all this stuff that I was just about to donate or give away. And it just really sunk in that I felt like we had wasted so much money when we probably didn't use some of these items. We probably had good intentions. Maybe we used them once. Maybe we just bought them on a whim. Whatever the case was, the bottom line is that we had wasted a lot of money. And we were in debt. We were $70,000 in debt. And I have to tell you, what's even harder to say is we have been in debt our entire 28 out of our 30-year marriage. And we continue to stay in debt. And we were like the Joneses. Like we literally had, the 2 cars in the driveway, the house, the 2.5 kids, and the white picket fence. So in our eyes, we thought, okay, we're doing really well here. We have 2 good jobs. We're able to make our payments. But the reality was we were drowning, absolutely drowning and living paycheck to paycheck. And I, at that moment, decided this is where it stops. We have to get out of this mess that we put ourselves into. And, I would say part of that is we spoiled the kids. We do things we wouldn't ordinarily do. And it got us into a lot of debt. So we started to talk to some people about, getting on a plan, having a budget put in place, what that would look like. How can we manage that and still be able to pay off debt considerably fast? Well, we were able to do it, and we paid off our debt within 18 months, believe it or not.
Kacy, that is incredible. Paying off $70,000 in debt in 18 years is incredible, but you guys did it in 18 months, and that's with a firefighter's husband. Your husband is a firefighter on that sort of salary. That's incredible. I've never heard of something like that. How did you guys even begin to take care of that?
So, like I said, we put us on a written zero-based budget. So we gave every dollar a job, making sure that money went to where it went. And we started what's called a debt snowball. So that's where you line up all your debt from smallest to largest, and you start attacking the smallest with a vengeance and paying your minimum payments on all of the rest. So as you do that, you develop this momentum that you get going where you literally will take what you paid on the first debt after you paid off, and then you throw it at the second debt, and then so forth. So by being able to do that and selling some stuff, we sold quite a bit of things in the house. It almost became a game between us who could sell the most. So I think we sold like about $5,000 worth of stuff around the house. And we put that towards debt. My husband took every overtime shift that he could, and I picked up any side hustles that I could do to throw at the debt. So it was really just being laser focused and knowing when we would be out of debt and just putting our foot to the pedal.
No, that's awesome. Now, can you just clarify a little bit for me? Did you attack the smallest amount of debt, or the debt that had the highest interest, or how exactly did you guys decide, like, let's take care of this one first, then this one next, and then this one after that? Like, how did you guys come up with the plan there?
Well, we did it from smallest balance to highest balance. People say, why don't you pay off your highest, interest card first? Well, if it was a math problem, we wouldn't be in this mess. So it was more of a behavior problem. So for us to get some little wins under our belt and get that momentum going, it really helps to pay off the first debt, the smallest debt first, and then go from there.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that plays into human psychology in a way where it's like, we're actually being very intentional here. We're on a path towards being debt free. So, that thing I see at the store, or that thing I see the guys at the fire station having, maybe I actually don't need that thing over there because we have a different path that we're on over here. Am I understanding that correctly? Like the psychology of paying off debt that way?
Yes. I mean, like I said, people were starting to take notice. Family and friends were like, what are you guys doing? You're absolutely killing it. And so I started to share with family and friends what we were doing and that it was possible for them to do it. You want to think there's a shame factor to that, like carrying around that much debt with as much, money as we make. And the reality is when we started telling people what we were doing, people were somewhat jealous that we were able to do this. We told our family that we weren't going to give Christmas presents. Like this was all temporary, but it was for the good of the bigger picture that we were trying to get to.
Yeah, no, and you're going to have to sacrifice. You guys, you got yourself into this mess. You're going to have to sort of tighten the reins a little bit and get yourself out of it. And if it means not spending all the excess that you guys had been, well, then that's what it's going to take, because it sounds like you guys saw the light at the end of the tunnel was a debt-free life. And that's a really powerful motivator. So, fast forwarding, getting out of debt in 18 months, you guys, these are living examples of people just like us that went through similar issues that we did. They just got really laser focused, like Kacy's talking about, and they were able to accomplish that. So, today, where are you guys at? That's where you were. Now, where are you guys at today? Are you able to what I'm hearing is what sounds a lot like the Dave Ramsey baby steps. And so are you guys now further along in that process, or where is things sort of landed for you guys?
Yes. So Dave Ramsey's baby steps is number one, have an emergency fund of $1,000. Baby step 2 is get out of debt as quickly as you can. Baby step 3 is your emergency fund, 6 to 8 months worth of money to be able to pay your bills should something happen. And then 4, 5, and 6 are the baby steps that are done simultaneously. So that's saving for your child's college, investing 15%, and paying off your house. So right now, that's where we're at right now. We're on a plan to pay off our house, hopefully in the next 4 years. We're still completely debt free, except the house. We already have a fully funded 6-month emergency fund, and we're maxing out our Roth IRAs and like on our way to pay off everything.
Oh, that's awesome. And I have these conversations with our folks a lot, Kacy, about, we as firefighters, we have a very secure income. It's not likely that we're going to miss a paycheck every 2 weeks. So maybe our emergency fund doesn't have to be built up like everybody else. But what we just saw in the pandemic, it like throws that argument just out the window. Like nobody saw this thing coming. It damaged a lot of people that didn't have this fully funded emergency fund. And so just for people, just so nobody's lost here, the first baby step for Dave Ramsey, $1,000 emergency fund, for when, let's say, the car breaks down or something, and you don't want to have to put that repair bill on a credit card, high interest, 20%. You just never get out from underneath it. And then after that, pay off the rest of the debt. And then after that, you can start that fully funded emergency fund, like she's talking about, where it's 6 months, say 8 months, where your income gets wiped out. You need to have something in reserves. Otherwise, you are going to have to resort to beg, borrowing, and stealing to just stay afloat. So it's awesome to hear that you guys are that far down the path. That's pretty cool.
We did this later in life. If more people could do this earlier in life, they could become everyday millionaires before they retire.
God, I wish that message would just be so like sung from the rafters of every fire station. Just guys, start early. Don't wait to start and then wait, meaning, get all these things done, and then you're just going to wait and watch all your investments start to grow. But you have to start. It's simple, but it's not easy. And it's because of that thing that we have in our society where, we're trying to keep up with the Joneses next door that have the big lifted truck and the beautiful bass boat or whatever that thing is that we feel like we have to have. It's like, well, no, that's not going to make you happy. Do the things that are actually going to make you happy, like maybe saving for your children's college fund or living completely debt free. That has to be a very liberating thing. Now, looking back, Kacy, other than getting yourself into $70,000 worth of debt, do you have a favorite mistake that you made that maybe you learned a lot from, or you improved from, or got better by?
Let me just tell you, I am the queen of refinance your house. And we did this quite a few times over the course of our marriage. And what was really sickening is when we were starting to get out of debt, we're starting to pay attention and look at all the numbers. We owed on the house what we paid for the house. And we had not made any headway whatsoever in paying off the house. And that was a little hard to swallow.
Yeah, God, that is it has to feel like, the people are piling on more and more dirt onto the mountain, right? You can never get out of it. It's like you're at the beach and they're just burying you in more and more sand. And that is that thing about the refinancing the house. Sometimes it does make sense. It makes sense if you have something specific that you need to buy. You're going to pull out some equity, or if you're going to use some of that equity to buy a rental property or something. But if you're just refinancing, just to save, let's say, I don't know, a quarter of a point or something, like that just doesn't make any sense. You're never going to pay that thing off. I think that's going to ring true for a lot of our folks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I tell my clients when it makes sense, that's when we do it. But when the math does not add up to the amount that you spend to refinance, it doesn't help.
No, for sure. And that's the thing. Sometimes we as firefighters, we sort of step over dollars to pick up pennies. It's like, guys, no, you're going backwards here. You're doing this wrong. Like, set a plan, be intentional, and start chipping away at some of these really big debts. If somebody was interested in trying to just get started, maybe they themselves are covered in a mountain of debt, or they feel like, they just can't make any progress here, where would you point them? What would be a way to sort of just get started down the path?
So there's four many challenges that I see most of the time. It's either their inability to save money, or I'm in debt and can't seem to get out or stay out, or I overspend and can't stick to a budget, or I make a decent living, but I just don't know where it's all going. So those are the four challenges I usually see when someone comes to me. I mean, right now, 80% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, it's just common knowledge. 65% of those people are carrying an average car payment of about $578 a month. And then not only that, you're faced with people that if they had a $500 emergency, roughly 8 out of 10 people cannot cover that emergency. Oh. So I would say the best thing to do is to seek out someone for help. You can't do it alone. Like, there really has to be the accountability factor there. I think if we could always go Google everything, right? All the information's out there. We could look it up, read a book, read a blog post, whatever. But the bottom line is we don't follow through. And that's just, we're creatures of habit where we have great intentions, but we just don't, continue. So I think for us, having that accountability each week or every 2 weeks that we met with someone that could sit down and take a look at what we were doing, because sometimes that second pair of eyes is what you need to see. Because I'm emotional with my money, but if I have someone else looking in, they're not emotional with my money. So they're going to tell me what they see, and they're going to tell me the best advice that I would need to help me get ahead. Whereas I'm over here, I'm like, oh, I want to buy this thing, but it's an emotional spending thing. So, having someone to share with me, well, if we buy this thing, this is how it's going to affect your debt payoff date. So having someone to do that for us was very monumental. It really meant that we could stay on track, have someone to give us that good advice along the way, and then be able to have a vision, or if you will, knowing what the journey was going to take us and how long it was going to take us to get there. And that's, putting a budget in place. Like, everyone can do that, but what happens is people end up not following through, and they lose their budgeting mojo or whatever after 3 or 4 months, and then they just go back to winging it again.
Yeah, I love that. The accountability part. I mean, it is required for us on every fire to have accountability officers in place. It's the same exact reason, because we need that second set of eyes, somebody that is a little bit detached from the incident, that can give us a little bit of a higher level view of what is actually happening. It's the same in like weight loss. People go to a weight loss coach to hold them accountable. Personal trainers are there. They're going to be there waiting for you at the gym. They're holding you accountable. So you have to go show up. It's the same idea here that I'm hearing is, listen, I'm going to take a look at all the things that are going on in your financial life, and we're going to set a plan, and we're going to stick to it. And we're just going to keep you accountable here. But it takes, I love that, taking the emotion out of it, just saying, hey, I'm just right here. I'm detached. I'm just showing you, I'm calling balls and strikes here. I'm going to be here helping you through this. That is just a really awesome way of thinking about things. And that is a perfect way of getting started. Now, going back 28 years of marriage, you've been in debt, you've been married 30 years. If you could go back as newlyweds, Kacy, what piece of advice would you give yourselves?
I stay away from credit cards, stay away from debt. Be more intentional with saving and investing. Like, our young people, we can tell them, you need to put back this much money every month, or at least do this, especially when we have people that are just starting out jobs from their career, and they're all of a sudden getting this big income, and they have never had such a big income, and they don't know what to do with it, and they end up spending it. So I wish I would have had that person to come alongside of me and just give me some guidance on what are the first steps to take when, right now at age 25 or 20 or whatever age that they're hired, or they get their best, career job, and and know how much that savings, have it taken out of your check automatically. You're not going to see it, right? And let it build over time. And then as you start to progress, saving for a house, like all those next steps that no one really taught me. I mean, and it's not our parents' fault. They didn't know any better either. So it's about education, I think, for the young people, to get them on a path where they can become an everyday millionaire way before their retirement age.
Oh, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. We have now started teaching our brand new hires a little bit about financial literacy, so that they're not going through the first 5 or 10 years of their career making this great income. Like you talked about, one of the 4 main mistakes is you make a decent living, but you don't know where money's coming or going from. That's one of those big mistakes. So we're trying to set them up for success right out of the gate. And you're right. It's not our parents' fault. It's nobody's fault, but once you have that plan, then you can start going step by step. And yeah, you save a little bit here, just have it automatically deducted out of your paycheck. You don't even see it. It takes the emotion out of the thing. You don't see it. You just get used to that auto payment coming out. And maybe that starts to fund the initial $1,000. Maybe that starts to fund the fully funded emergency fund. Or maybe after you've built all that stuff up, then you can start investing it, after you paid off all your credit card debts, et cetera. But yeah, learning this stuff early on, and then not only just learning it, but taking that information and doing something about it.
Right. And applying it. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of information out there, but if you can find someone that can sort through your specific, questions and your specific problems that you're having, whatever it is, and having them design a roadmap for you, if you will, that will take you step by step to get you through where you want to be. And I think our kids think that they're going to live forever, and and if they can start saving later, or I'll save when this happens, or when I get this next overtime I'll save. Like, no, you do it now. Every little actionable step that you take right now is going to determine the outcome of your future 20, 25, 30 years from now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard because, we're trying to save, we're trying to invest for this stranger in the future, right? This somebody that's 25 years older than we are right now. Sometimes that gets hard. So again, take the emotion out of it, do it auto deducted out of your paycheck. It's just set it and forget it and don't worry about it. And that's just a really great way of becoming an everyday millionaire, like she's talking about, or just having a happy, healthy retirement that we all think we deserve, right? Because we're putting in hard work, hard hours. Maybe it's a lot of overtime just to pay down the bills, but instead of just, trading your time for money, do something with that money that'll help set you up downstream.
Absolutely. I mean, you need to have a plan in place and prepare for your future. Here's the thing. People aren't dreaming anymore. They're not dreaming about their future. They're not dreaming about what they want retirement to look like. And I think we've lost that. It's like, if we can get the young generation to start dreaming about where they want to be 20 years from now and what is it going to take to get there.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly well said. It is a different generation than ours, but we can do our best to help relay that message. We can show them the path, and then hopefully they're going to get on that path, and in 25 years or 30 years, they'll be just way better off than maybe we would have been. So I love that. But yeah, with that, Kacy, it looks like you got knocked down on your first alarm. So if people are looking to learn more about how to get on the path, how to start the process, how to find a coach in this arena, how could they find you?
So I am a Ramsey preferred coach based in San Diego County. My website is CENTS.com. You can find me there and book a consultation. We can just see if financial coaching is a good fit. I will ask a few questions, kind of look to see what your goals are. And if I feel like that I can help you with your, money challenge or your money problem, then I will let you know what that looks like, and we can put you on a plan. If money coaching is not for you, then I will definitely say, hey, looks like you're doing pretty good on your own. And I think that if you just do X, Y, and Z, you'll be fine. So it really is determining, whether you need it or not. I do think it's great to at least start something. If you don't have a budget in place, or if you just don't know where your money's going and you want to have this goal over here, maybe we can set parameters around that so that we can create a plan to get to that goal. So that's how you can find me. I'm on Instagram at Debt Free Are We. I actually put my entire debt-free story on there from the very beginning. I was an open book. I shared my experiences as I went. Every time we had like a $2,000, payment towards the credit card, I just told everybody so that everybody could celebrate. There's a great debt-free community out there in Instagram that are there to support you and your goals.
Yeah, that's awesome, and help keep you accountable, right? I mean, that's another side benefit of that. I'll link all that stuff in the show notes. But it's about just getting started. And guys, reach out to her. She's a wealth of knowledge, like I'm sure you've heard here. And at a minimum, she'll help you know if you can take some steps today by setting a budget maybe, or anything else. And these guys have gone through the same things that we are going through ourselves. Married to a firefighter, understands our line of work, understands the challenges that we face. They get it. So reach out to her at Straight Sense or on Instagram. And yeah, awesome. But Kacy, I wanted to say thank you for sharing all this great information today, and for all your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, cool. That was great.
All right.
I'm like over here scribbling down all these notes, trying to keep up with you. That was fantastic. That's so good. That's so good. Gosh, I really do. I want to say thank you. I know you were not looking forward to this or not looking for this, but it really is so helpful for our guys, particularly our younger guys. I teach at the academy, so I'm with them every day. But it's just helpful to have other voices, other people that have gone through the same things, but who have now come out the other side and know what the other side looks like. Because sometimes it gets really tough. Sometimes you are living paycheck to paycheck and you're just trying to scrape together a little win here or there. And it's nice to have people that have gone through the same thing that are willing to share that story.
Right. I mean, your platform is great for reaching more people. And that's what I want to do. I always said when I first started this business, I told my husband, I said, I want to be that coach where everyone in San Diego that brings up something about money says, oh, you need to talk to Kacy.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. Right. I mean, because then you reach a much broader audience. And I just think it's important. And what's interesting too is talking about money, and I'm going to let you go here, but before we wrap it up, like talking about money is kind of a taboo subject in the fire stations. Talking about politics, talking about religion, talking about money. Those are kind of like, let's hold off on that, guys. Let's just keep everything above board. But it's like, no, this is important stuff here, right? We're responsible for ourselves. We're responsible to each other. Let's have these conversations, even if it's a hard conversation, so that we're not making the same mistakes that the guys 30 years ago made.
Right. Right.
So.
Yeah. And my husband, he's not afraid to tell these young guys that are out there wanting to go buy a $35,000 truck or whatever, he tells them like it is. He gives them the real truth.
Yeah.
and tells them our story. Like, you don't think you're going to find yourself in that position, but what ends up happening when you start to get pay raises, you start to get that overtime, and that overtime's looking really cushioned in your check that you get.
Yeah.
And you just start like, you don't have a plan for it. That's when things go wrong. And that's when you get deeper in debt. They don't understand that when you get those surges of income, that you need to act like you didn't get it,
Absolutely. Yeah. No, have it earmarked. If you're gonna work overtime, have a place for that money to go already. Don't because what some of our guys do is they wind up like living off that overtime check and not investing it, not doing anything else with it. And they just get used to that money. And then all of a sudden overtime dries up and they're like, well, now what do I do?
I mean, guys have bought houses and that's happened.
Literally. Yeah. Literally.
Yeah. And based on what they think they're going to get for that year's income. Yep. And then overtime's gone for a while. Yep. So, it really is getting them to not depend on that overtime, because I know those $8,000 and $10,000 checks are really nice, but there's such a false sense of security.
Totally. And you have to be gone away from home on all those overtime shifts, right? It's not passive income. You're trading your time for money. And for me, that I don't want to do that. I want to be home. I want to be with my family, enjoying life, that we are afforded such a large amount of time off. I want to spend that time off here, not putting in extra shifts at the station.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I think the biggest regret my husband has is that he worked too much when the kids were growing up. But in his mind, he's like, I'm going out there, I'm slaying the bear for the family and bringing it back. And, the kids have all that they need and I'm doing a good thing, and really now we look back and it was not the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm happy to share your guys' story. I'm so grateful that you're willing to, because it's something that has to get passed down.
Yeah, definitely. Don't do what we did. That's what we tell our kids.
Yeah, same with me. Don't do this. Don't do what I did. Let's make some progress here.
Well, and here's the one.
All right, thanks again to Kacy for meeting me here in the bullpen. Man, what an inspiring story of going from $70,000 in debt to being totally debt-free except for their mortgage in only 18 months. That is absolutely incredible, and that's off of a firefighter salary and hers. Well done to you too. If you'd like to learn more about Kacy, you can find her on Instagram at DebtFreeAreWe or on her website, straightsense.com. If you'd like to learn more about us, we're on Facebook at The Firehouse. That's f.i.r.ehouse. On Instagram, the _fire_house. On LinkedIn, The Firehouse Investors, or any place you listen to podcasts. If you learned something today and you'd like to hear more, please like, share, and subscribe. But no matter what you do, take this information, go out there, and get some. Station F.